How's it going, YouTube? I'm Mark from Like-Minded Lunatics coming at you with another Friday night reaction video. For those of you who are new subscribers, and we've had people add every week, I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. We certainly appreciate it. If you've just joined us, we do reaction videos, but Like-Minded Lunatics was actually started by myself and my writing partner, and we are storytellers in the Austin and San Antonio area. And before COVID-19, we did a lot of live events, original stories, true stories, just all kinds of performance art stuff. And since we can't do that anymore, we're doing this. So check out our other playlists. We have original stories that we've scored and got sound effects to. We've got comedy videos. We've got all kinds of stuff. So please check out our other playlists. For those of you who are watching and haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out a whole lot. All right, with that out of the way. Man, we've got a good one today. This is one that, this song is one that I absolutely love. We're going to watch the video for Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. Now, it was devastating to me when Chris Cornell passed away. That was a real loss for those of us who grew up in the grunge era. This is a CD and video that's near and dear to my heart. It came out in 1994, which was my senior year of high school, and in fact, I bought this shirt that year. And in fact, it's in a lot of my my yearbook photos. So this song is one that's near and dear to my heart, and I absolutely loved Chris Cornell. He was a sensitive, sweet soul, and it's a damn shame that we lost him. So we're going to dive into this one. I know there are a lot of reaction videos out there to this, but I'm going to try to offer y'all something a little bit different. So strap in. It's going to get really weird and really nerdy very quickly. Now, before we actually dive into the video, there are some things that we got to discuss first. I'll speed run through them. But the first thing is Chris Cornell actually spoke quite a bit about writing this song. One of the things that he said was when they wrote it, there was really no meaning attached to any of the words. In fact, he's quoted as saying that this was just a song of him playing with language, playing with rhyme schemes, playing with language, playing with words. So I think it's incumbent upon us as observers of the art to try to supply some meaning to it. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to try to supply some meaning to both the lyrics and the video. And boy, I'm gonna blow your mind, I hope. Now, the guy who directed this video is a very famous music video director by the name of Howard Greenlog. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he's directed a lot of videos for people like Elton John, for Muse, for Placebo, I think. He's done a lot of really avant-garde, surreal type videos. And in fact, I'm going to throw up his playlist right here because if you like this one, you're going to like all the rest of them. So go and check those out. Now, before we actually dive into the video, there are a couple of things that we need to understand or that we need to know. The first thing that we need to understand is the definition of the sublime, because that's going to be really important to our conversation as we watch this video. Now, I'm not talking about the colloquial use of sublime. The colloquial use is just like, whoa, that's some sublime spaghetti. It just means it's really good. That's not how we use the term in literary criticism, though. So the sublime is an old concept dating back to the Greeks, but it wasn't until Edmund Burke, a guy in the 17th century, he defined it. I think it was 17th or 18th. In any case, he's the one that really supplied it with the definition that we now use. And I'll read that to you because I think it's very important to this video. So, here we go. He attributes the source of the sublime to whatever things are in any sort terrible, that is to say, whatever is fitted in any sort to excite the ideas of pain and danger, provided that the observer or the person viewing the art is in a situation of safety from the danger and is able to experience what would otherwise be a painful terror as a delightful horror. The qualities of objects conducive to sublime horror that Burke stresses are obscurity, immense power, and vastness in dimensions or quantity. Now, Immanuel Kant further added to this definition, and I think his definition is even more important for us as we watch this video. So this is Immanuel Kant's definition. So he defines the sublime in two different ways. The first is mathematical sublimity, and by that he means something that encompasses the sublime of magnitude, something that's vast in size or seemingly limitlessness or infinitude of number. Or two, the dynamic sublime. And the dynamic sublime encompasses the objects conducive to terror at our seeming helplessness before the overwhelming power of nature, provided that the terror is rendered pleasurable by the safe situation of the observer. So, in literary criticism, the sublime is something that's so immense, that's so vast, that it's absolutely terrifying to us. But we take pleasure in that terror. The best example I can think of, I was a Milton guy in grad school. The closest thing I can think of, so in John Milton's Paradise Lost, Satan goes back to tempt humanity. And on his way to tempt humanity in the Garden of Eden, he sees heaven and he realizes what he lost. And this is what Milton says of Satan. Abashed the devil stood and saw how awful goodness is, and felt how awful goodness is, and saw in her shape how lovely, saw and pined his loss. That's the sublime. Satan is staring at the ineffable heaven that he will never regain. That's sublimity. So, we're going to dive into this. And I think before we do that, it's tradition around here to have a drink before we start this. And I think we all need a drink before we start this. It doesn't need to be an alcoholic one. It just needs to be something in your system. Today I'm going with, it's hot in here again, so I've already popped it. But I'm going with Sun Shovel from Austin Beerworks. So get your beverage. If you got to pause. But get a beverage and let's cheers to the end of a week and the beginning of another weekend. Cheers, everybody. Oh, man. All right. So we've got the definition of sublime in our head. One more thing. H.P. Lovecraft. Some of you may have heard his name. Famous author of horror fiction at the beginning of the 20th century. He was also an unapologetic racist, as were a lot of folks that time. But he really defined a whole genre of horror fiction. And the one thing that he really defined was something called cosmic horror, or cosmicism. And this is how some critics have defined Lovecraft's cosmic horror. Cosmicism tends to emphasize the insignificance of humanity and its doings. Rather than summarily rejecting the possible existence of some higher purpose, it is not the absence of meaning that causes terror for their protagonists, as it is their discovery that they have absolutely no power to change anything in the vast, indifferent universe that surrounds them. Lovecraft also believed that humanity was fundamentally at the mercy of vastness and the emptiness of the cosmos. Okay. One last thing. There was a guy by the name of Robert Chambers. Those of you who like True Detective, please listen up. There was a guy named Robert Chambers that highly influenced H.P. Lovecraft. Robert Chambers wrote something called The King in Yellow, and it's a cosmic horror tale. But I want you to listen to the poem that was in there. Again, I think it's apropos. This is the poem, The King in Yellow. Along the shore, the cloud waves break. The twin suns sink behind the lake. The shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise and strange moons circle through the skies. But stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung, as tears unshed shall dry and die in lost Carcosa. Now, this is basically True Detective Season 1. In Chambers, these black stars, and those are talked about in True Detective, are black holes. And a black hole is a sun that's fallen in on itself. Oh, boy. All right, we got all that stuff out of the way. Now let's dig in. Let's dig in to Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. We're going back to 1994. Here we go. It is in these hills at Juan San. I can't do it. So for those of you who that laughed at that, I love you. I love you. That was Beavis and Butthead. They did this video, and it's impossible for me to watch it without going, it is in these hills that Juan Valdez and his trusty goat gather coffee beans every morning. All right. That's besides the point. All right, here we go. So we've got a pinpoint of light. We've got our sun. We've got some doomsayers coming. We've got a husband that... Whoa, what is up with his face? Looks like we've got a husband of some sort, like a suburban family, but things are already looking weird. Whoa! Ah! What is happening? Getting these grotesque, elongated faces. Ooh! Boiling heat. Summer. Ah! Okay. So, in one of Lovecraft's stories, I'm gonna keep coming back to Lovecraft. In one of Lovecraft's stories, The Shadow over Innsmouth, the lead character finds out that this town of Innsmouth has been infiltrated by these beings called the Deep Ones. Now, the Deep Ones are fish people that have been on our planet for millennia. And they are not really priests, but they're cults dedicated to worshiping H.P. Lovecraft's old gods, like Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, Nyarlathotep, Hastur, these cosmic entities. Now, the Deep Ones in Innsmouth ended up raping the people of Innsmouth decades ago. And they created hybrids. And those hybrids look like this. Ah, that's right. They look just like these folks do. Elongated mouths, huge bulbous eyes. So what's happening here? We've got a scene where a sun is about to fall into a black hole. We've got all these folks that are almost going crazy. And we've got these people that start to look like the Deep Ones from H.P. Lovecraft. Now, one more thing to read from. Actually, second to last. In the Mountains of Madness, Lovecraft writes this about the Great Ones, these old cosmic gods. The first men formed the cult around small idols which the Great Ones showed them, idols brought in dim eras from dark stars. The cult would never die till the stars came right again, and the secret priests would take great Cthulhu from his tomb to revive his subjects and resume his rule on earth. The time would be easy to know, for then mankind would have become as the great old ones, free and wild and beyond good and evil, with laws and morals thrown aside, and all men shouting and killing and reveling in joy. Then the liberated old ones would teach them new ways to shout and kill and revel and enjoy themselves, and all the earth would flame with a holocaust of ecstasy and freedom. I think we are in the middle of the holocaust of ecstasy and freedom in this video. I think this is a Lovecraftian apocalyptic end of the world, with the sun falling into a black hole, driving everyone mad. And there's more evidence. I have more pieces of evidence, but let's keep going with the video. Hopefully I've convinced you. Here we go. Man, that's a good line. Beneath the black, the sky looks dead. Wow. Again, to me it looks like these folks are being driven mad by the black hole. And it's not just a sci-fi end of the world, because that would just be the black hole crushing everything. No, weird shit is happening to these people. And is it me, children of the 80s? Is this Just Call Me Julie Brown? That's who it looks like to me. She's checking that guy out, that beefcake. What is happening here? They're surrounded by moths or locusts. But they're loving it. They're loving it. Look at this guy's face. Jeez, come on, mutton chops. What's happening? Again, we've got these faces of just utter ecstasy at what appears to be the end of the freaking world. Now, one of the things about cosmic terror that critics have said over and over again is that, and Lovecraft especially, his old gods are terrifying. Not because they're good, not because they're evil. They are not either. They just view humanity the way humanity views ants or insects. They don't care. We can get crushed, mangled, tortured. Doesn't matter to them. We're insects, and we can't even know the ways they think. And look what's happening here. These kids are taking great joy in burning ants and torturing insects. Heaven sent hell away. Man, that line hurts. No one does sing like you anymore, Chris. Ah! Oh! And look, they want it to happen. They're taking great joy in the fact that this black hole is about to consume them. Now look at Minnie Pearl here. All right, Minnie is just happily swinging away. And watch what happens. These kids are getting eaten by these locusts. Now we've got a ballerina here taking great joy in pirouetting as the bees, not beads, bees, not beads, as the beads kill this man. She's spinning and pirouetting as this man has been stung to death by bees. All right. Now, we're about to have what's called a juxtaposition, where we're basically smashing two images together to create meaning. So we've got this woman sitting by a pool tanning herself with a light directly in front of her. Now we've got a young girl watching a Barbie doll roasting on a Weber rotisserie. That's a Weber rotisserie? I've got one in my garage. I know what that is. She's watching someone roast, wearing basically the same bikini as this girl. Now she's just burning, and she doesn't care. Now the star is collapsing. Humanity is roasting. We're still just inviting people in. And now she's fully transformed, or starting to transform, into some kind of, dare we say it, amphibious creature? A deep one? Wow! Wow! Now we've got the full apocalypse, ripping people from the earth. And the folks are still screaming in joy. Wow. All right, now we've got a lady pushing a bassinet with a child in it. Things are about to get really messed up. Hang my head, drown my fear, till you all just disappear. Whoa. Again, we've got that deep one look going on. And it's drum solo. And I would postulate now this is it. This is the end. That is the face of the sublime. The cosmic horror that we can't even understand. It's so horrible in its magnificence. It renders us mad. Abashed the devil stood and saw how awful goodness is. Now, this scene confuses me. I've watched this over and over. This looks like Al Snow to me and Tony from Peep Show. And if you got both of those references, we need to party. Oh, it's terrifying. Look at his face. It's all right, Al. Get help. All right. One more thing from Lovecraft. In The Mountains of Madness, which is probably one of his most famous novellas, it's about a group of explorers that go into an heretofore undiscovered part of the Antarctic, and they find this ancient city that was built by these elder gods. And they discover that humanity was essentially just created by them, and they care nothing for us. But in this city, they find something that's called a shoggoth. And this is the description of them. I want you to listen to it before you watch this next part. Shoggoths in their work ought not to be seen by human beings or portrayed by any beings. The mad author of the Necronomicon had nervously tried to swear that none of them had been bred on this planet, and that only drugged dreamers had ever conceived them. Formless protoplasm able to mock and reflect all forms and organs and processes. Viscous agglutinations of bubbling cells, rubbery 15-foot spheroids, infinitely plastic and ductile, slaves of suggestion, builders of city, more and more sullen, more and more intelligent, more and more amphibious, more and more imitative. Great God, what madness made even those blasphemous old ones willing to use and carve such things. So in the Mountains of Madness, shoggoths are these great big protoplasmic blobs that consume everything and build cities for these elder gods. They kind of pave the way for them. Now watch. And what's being born? An amorphous blob. Won't you come? Ah, Chili Brown! Man, and everything is just ending in absolute apocalyptic chaos. Wow. Man, what a great video. Wow. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I brought something a little bit new to this video. That was something I had never noticed before. All the Lovecraftian references to cosmic horror and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard for me to believe that it was accidental. I don't remember who said it, but when you're dealing with great works of art, which I do think this is, you can't really interpret them too much. There's an infinite amount of possibilities to interpret them. So hopefully this has enriched your view of this song and video. I hope you had fun. We don't do this every week. We don't get this nerdy every week. Some weeks we just drink beer and watch cool videos. We mix it up some. So if you like this one, I hope you liked it. If you didn't, next week will be different. I promise next week is just going to be drinking beer and having fun with a video. In any case, I hope you had a good time. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like this video. Leave us a comment. We love hearing your comments. We love seeing them. Please keep sharing us on social media and be sure to hit that subscription button. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.